Hi and welcome to MoCDA Talk Series. We're in conversation with digital and 3D artist Paola Pinna. Paola is interested in exploring the meaning of being human today, focusing on different aspects of the relationship between humans and machines, the internet and its subcultures, but also very fascinated about new ways of conceiving life and spirituality in the age of technological advancement. Enjoy. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be calling Paola Pinna today, and we'll be talking about 3D art and how bodies are seen in the internet age. So, okay, I can see Paola is connected now, so I'm just gonna give her a call so that she is with my Wi-Fi, so it took me a few seconds to connect.
No problem. You hear me properly?
Yes, I can. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, nice to see you, and thank you for joining me in this
Thank you
live
for running
art
this
chat.
video. Really cool.
Thank you. I came across your work online. You know, I was speaking to Zeba from Her Visions a few days ago. And, you know, somehow we mentioned your work, and I saw these video work that you created, I suppose not long ago, about these two bodies sort of wanting to explore that proximity, but, you know, impossible to do so given the face masks. And that was quite fascinating because, you know, it's a powerful subject.
Yeah, I think, you know, despite we are living a tragedy, kind of, what's good is that at least we are sharing a common fear, a common problem. So kind of brings all the artists together, and it's cool to see how everyone is reacting to the same topic but differently.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you came to create that work? Was it like out of necessity since what we're experiencing, or did you have that picture already and then you sort of added the face masks, or what's the story of that?
I had the main character that I called Nico, and he's one of the characters I created. So I thought, you know, why not adapt some story to these characters? Maybe she's also experiencing the pandemic and she's in need of human touch. Because I think like the worst thing about this coronavirus thing is like not even the virus itself, but like the isolation. And
I
like,
just wanted to show the work
sure,
so that
like
people can see on the screen.
like fearful about each other. That's really toxic. It's like even more unhealthy than the virus itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, what's your background? What's your story? How did you get to start creating digital and 3D art?
Yeah, so I graduated in digital arts from London in UIL. And actually the reason why I started going digital, because before I used to paint, is because I didn't have any space in my London apartment. So I just started playing out with my tablet. So like something that feels like an obstacle has actually been like a good opportunity for me to go digital. So I started with the iPad, and then I slowly got into 3D. And when I first got into 3D, I was like super excited because I was like, wow, I can make it whatever I want. So I just kept going with it. So yeah, now I just I both work on commission for like more commercial projects, but I also exhibit video and my art physically, so in exhibitions. So that's what I do mostly. Sometimes, occasionally, I also take on curatorial projects using technology, live videos and stuff, which is really cool.
And
yeah, so I use Blender and DADS as main 3D tools. That's mostly like to create the characters, and then I bring over to Blender and play with it. and that's pretty much my workflow.
Hmm. How did you came to integrate digital technologies into your work? Is this something that you came across during your studies, or was that something that you always wanted to explore?
I think it kind of came out like um, quite spontaneously, like just me coming across some internet art, and then I got really fascinated, and I immediately recognized it as, you know, I understand this. I want to be part of it. What's my take on all this?
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I think the 3D community online is like really strong, really cool. Because there is like a lot of nice people who is like willing to, you know, suggest you, and we can share skills and share our work and collaboration. So it's very, very rewarding. Like I've met so many nice people in the 3D community as well. So
That's actually really true. I was talking to Mattia Cutini, who's another artist from Italy, who's very active in the crypto space. And
mhm.
he was saying that it's been so nice to have such an amazing community
Yeah,
online. You know, you sort of make your best friends online, and you
yeah,
probably have never
definitely.
met them before.
Yeah,
But people are really willing to share and to talk about their skills and art vision, and in a very collaborative way,
yeah.
which is super inspiring. So I wonder whether this is something that, you know, peculiar of the
Mm,
digital community, digital art
mm,
communities, or it is in a way present within the art world itself.
mm. I'm not sure if it's present within the traditional art community. I
Hmm.
think it's definitely a peculiarity of the digital arts. And I think, you know, it also gives us artists more strength because we feel like our art is understood and shared by people of our age, but also older or younger. So
Hmm.
it's definitely something that strengthens your security in creating as well.
And do you think that,
Mhm.
you know, in your vision or in your experience, do you think that the communication through the internet is in a way missing or adding anything extra that the real community, the real communication through artists, you know, normally experience? You know, how do you think the communication is has been enhanced by the internet? Because I
Well,
know you focus also on bodies and on the
yeah.
element of the human within the internet space. So I was
Mm.
curious to know from you, what's your experience, what's your take on the communication side?
I think for me it has been great. Like, it gave me the chance to connect with people from other parts of the world. Because like I'm originally from Sardinia, which is an island, and I know no one there who actually makes 3D art. So
Mm-hmm.
without internet, for me would not have been possible to connect with other people. I think it's not very different from like the traditional way of communicating. Is just faster, and obviously you can chat at any time, so it's great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, my feedback on the internet is is that yes, the speed and the
Mm.
ease in communicating is great. What I am missing is, yeah, the sort of proximity. You know, the fact that you can read body language, or you can
Yeah.
somehow learn from people and how they behave into a physical
Oh
context.
yeah,
So I think that
absolutely.
layer is missing in a way, and
Mm.
I'm not sure how, for example, virtual reality can integrate that
Mm.
part into what is the 2D, for example, and
Yeah,
communication through the internet. But talking about the bodies and how you experience that when you create your works,
yeah.
how do you see, you know, reproducing the human bodies or the hybrids that you bring, like this work, for example? You know, it looks to me like you know, in a hybrid body.
Yeah.
How do you go about creating such shapes, and how do you contextualize them?
Yeah, so like to me, what is inspiring is like technology is basically giving us new tools to incorporate technologies in our body. Like
Hmm.
even the smartwatch or the smartphone, we always have it at hand. So it's kind of making us reimagine the human body in proximity to technology. So it's like a more fluid vision of the human, kind of post-biological human. Um, which is making me experiment with the art as well. So like my earlier works, I used to make 3D avatars and then just completely extend and reshape them until they become abstract.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, especially like the 3D is giving me a lot of points where I can experiment with the body through the avatars. Also, it's interesting how these avatars can kind of build like another persona.
Hmm.
So it's kind of everyone wants an avatar nowadays because they like the idea of being, physical in the digital.
Yeah, for sure. And you also, you sort of discussed earlier with me about the 3D modeling within art and the role in helping artists reimagining the aesthetics around the world. How do you think that is sort of playing in your works?
Well, I think, the nature of 3D is that you can, if you're skilled enough, you can basically build pretty much anything that you want with high realism as well.
Hmm.
So what I love about 3D is that I can combine high realism with imagination. So literally, like the possibilities are endless. You can build whatever you want. So rather than being a tool that makes you kind of comment on something, it really is because of its nature. It makes you reimagine it. Um, so what I like doing is like I play with realism, but also with abstract, and I kind of mix the two together with color. So like to give a kind of a surreal feel to it as well.
Hmm. And, given the situation we're all experiencing, how do you think the current times will be addressed or influence the art that you're going to create from now on?
I don't think it's gonna make a massive difference from now on. I think it's just this thing is just accelerating something that was already there. So
Hmm.
the emphasis on the digital artwork that can be shared, on the artwork that is interactive. Um, there would probably be an emphasis more on interactive pieces because it gives you more like playful feel. Um, but generally, and another thing I've noticed is maybe because people is at home now and they have more time, so they're not scrolling endlessly on the feed, but they're actually paying more attention to the single artworks. So probably one good thing that this thing will implement is giving us more depth, so time to think more deeply about an artwork.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think maybe that's just it. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. So you're thinking that maybe people will pay more attention to digital art
Yeah.
and stay longer onto what they see on a
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
like we give it for granted that digital art is a thing, but there is still a lot of people out there. There is still in like a rejection mode
Oh
of
yeah,
like digital
absolutely.
art system or like digital art, net art. They still believe that it's not as good as the traditional art that you can see and touch. And I think this is an opportunity for them to open the eyes and see all the benefits of the digital art and net art.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think yes, we should see this as an opportunity. I know, of course, is challenging for all of
Mhm.
us to be living in these conditions, but in a way, the internet is allowing us to support the artistic community and
Mm.
to definitely add value. and
Yeah.
bring more value, the value that actually deserves for digital artists to be noticed. So it would be interesting. I don't know if anyone has done that as an experiment, but to see how long people spend these days on a single image,
Mm-hmm.
rather than skipping through or looking through, a huge amount of pictures or works or anything that comes that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Domenico is saying that it's not good as traditional art. It's better. Making a comment on that. But yes, it can be. It can be maybe an even better experience, to enhance that experience. But yeah, I was interested. Do you ever experiment in physical spaces? Like, have you ever taken your digital work into a physical space, and how do you think that differ from, showing work online and
Yeah. So
into a real space?
yeah, so I had few shows. One of was my first solo show as well, and what I've done is like printed super large my renders and
Hmm.
just had them on the wall, and then I incorporated some video pieces, and it went really well actually because um, there was a lot of like people that is skeptical about digital art, but when they see it printed, they value it more. So I got really good reviews even from like elderly people, which I didn't expect. And that is a nice thing because like I want everyone to enjoy what I do, not just, young people.
Hmm. 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 For
That was a
sure.
good surprise. And it was also a good challenge because um, you need to think about it differently. It's not just the square Instagram format, but it's like, okay, how can I fit these shapes into a big space? So it's very challenging. And I think, implementing physical exhibition within digital is great. Like I love going to um, exhibitions where there is like physical digital art as well. Um, and I know many artists as well who work like kind of cross the two,
Hmm.
between like 3D and painting and installation, and the results is usually very, very interesting. So I think the both worlds definitely integrate very well together.
Hmm. And how do you see, for example, that interactivity still happening within physical exhibitions? Have you found a way of supporting that element, or what is the best way of, for example, the way that you're pleased with, in recreating that art experience um, offline?
So I once made an installation with sand, and I also incorporated a VR piece, which was really cool, really challenging because it's not technically very easy to make. But um, I don't know. What I find with VR, honestly, is that you are still alone in there. You're not like you're still interacting with yourself, yes, with the piece, but it's still like something that you do alone. It doesn't really make a large group of people interact with one another. So I think the future is more in augmented reality rather than VR.
Hmm.
So I would love to experiment with that in future just because of the nature of the tool. That is like proper mixing digital and real. VR is
Hmm.
still like very digital to me, which is good, but
Hmm. Yeah, it could be a more isolating experience, I
yeah.
suppose. Yeah, yeah. We also, when we talked earlier, we briefly touched on the more spiritual aspects of technology, and the ways of, you mentioned about conceiving life, faith, and spirituality, in a way that technology is inevitably shaping those concepts that for us can be, more framed within
Mm.
society, within our ways of living. But how do you think those elements are reflected on the online space, and more specifically in art?
Yeah, so like to me, even the act of making art is like a conscious act, because
Hmm.
obviously when you're making something, you're doing it consciously and subconsciously as well, but more consciously. So like you know what you're doing, why you're doing, what you're trying to represent. So it's an act that is conscious. And now with this, the possibility of machines to create art, it
Hmm.
raises a lot of questions in regard, life, but also creativity as well. So it kind of challenges everything we do, and we know. So I wonder, okay, could a machine make art as well? What am I doing? It's like, what is our meaning here? What if, what are we leaving to the world in the future? There's just mind blowing. Um,
And do you think AI has any consciousness when creating art?
I don't think I don't think AI is conscious yet. It's surely it is intelligent and smart, but not conscious. But yeah, I do think that to make art, you need to have some sort of awareness of where you are, at least where you're operating, because otherwise you will be just making things that are good for yourself, but they don't make sense for anyone. So that's what a machine could do. Yeah, they could make creative things, but again, is it art? Is not art? So it challenges our mind in that sense too.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, regarding consciousness and spirituality, for me are very much linked, because if we will be capable to create conscious machines, how does God come into play? How what do we still believe in God at this point, or we don't? Because like the idea that a God created all this out of love is really not enough for us at the moment. Um,
Well, it's
so
difficult to see it that way,
yeah,
I suppose. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, lots of things to consider and to think about. Actually, I like to think of myself as a very spiritual person, not religious, but spiritual. And I developed my spirituality thanks to YouTube. So that's where I get my spiritual gurus and talks. And that's a completely new way as well of developing your own sense of well-being and spirituality. Like I don't go to church. I open the laptop. So what does that say about our current state of awareness and consciousness?
Hmm. Hmm. And how do you feel like being in conversation with an AI, for example, in creating something artistic, could elevate us to become more spiritual in a way?
I think so, because if we train a machine to give us a wide range of possible answers, um, they might not be creative, but they might be answers that we haven't thought of. So if you ask them, is this jacket green? And he said, it's a piece of leaf. A
Hmm.
human wouldn't reply that, but you would consider that answer as a creative answer. So that
Hmm.
might help us implement something in us as well.
Hmm. Hmm. And that's quite interesting. Your vision on that, and when you talk about the fact that an AI could have not consciousness, but you can train an AI. I'm
Mhm.
thinking it really depends on how you feed the data. Because
Yeah.
obviously it can be tailored to your taste. And
Mm.
so the outcome could be something that you may expect. So how do you still keep that conversation fresh without
Mm.
influencing the AI too much? In a sense, we do know now that AI can be extremely biased. So how do you
Mm.
keep that conversation fresh? Or if you were going to find a way to make that a creative art piece by working in collaboration with an AI, how would you do it?
That's interesting. Well, I presume that the AI could be a lot more intelligent than we are, just because they can keep a lot more information there faster. So
Mm-hmm.
if we, I don't think it's much being about freshness, because I don't think it can be fresh, but it can be smarter. So if it's smarter, we can definitely learn from them as well. The results might not be unexpected, but they might be very intelligent, and nonetheless, they might be useful in some way for helping the creative process.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any experience in working with AI softwares, for example? Or do you normally go in and reshape the work? Because I can see
Yeah,
some of your works are very defined, and I can see that there's your artistic trait. I
yeah.
can recognize that. So,
I think actually the next step of 3D software should be implement AI,
mhm,
because with AI everything will be so much faster. So if you just, let's say I want to build a house, and I could type, house, and the software can generate you a wide range of random houses,
models.
models. Yeah, so it could come with something that I wasn't expecting, and then from there I could tweak things and make it more personal. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if there are already. I'm sure there are some AI softwares. The ones I use, they're not. They're quite stupid, but it would be interesting.
I see. And what kind of uh, technology would you like to experiment with and bring into your work? Is there anything that you would love to experiment with that you haven't done yet?
Yeah, so augmented reality would be something that I'd definitely be interested in trying, because I think you could play with like physical aesthetics as well,
Hmm.
and the result would be very interesting. Um, I want to develop in Unity as well, which is the software that gamers use
Yeah,
to create games. So I'm slowly learning that, and I think that would be super cool because you can build like large environments, and make pretty cool stuff with that. Um, and yeah, I'm currently I'll be doing an online residency on digital artist residency this summer with a bunch of other artists, and we're working on a project that it gives you an answer. So it's like an oracle, a digital oracle.
hmm,
So we're making some artwork, and then you can type in your question, and you get a picture made from us as an answer that you need to interpret. So in that sense, we will need to play a bit with AI, because you need to customize the answers and the questions in order to make some sense between the two and not be completely random. So
hmm.
that would be something new for me to experiment.
I see. And these questions and answers that you're getting, would they be generated or would they
Yeah,
be given?
they will be kind of random generated, because you can link some keywords with your response. Um, so hopefully it will be, yes, kind of between random and AI, if that makes sense.
Okay. And what's the final objective to create an
So
art
it's
piece, a collaborative art piece?
Yeah, it's a collaborative art piece that will help people kind of meditate more and spend more time just analyzing an artwork,
Hmm.
um, and generate your own response and idea just by looking at some abstract shapes.
I see. That'll be interesting to see. Let us know when that becomes
Yeah, I
live,
will.
and we'll keep an eye on it. I was curious, have you been collaborating with other artists, or do you have any experience in collaborating with artists within the digital or more traditional art world?
Yes. I think it's very easy nowadays to collaborate with other people. You just send them a message and see if they're up for it. I've
Hmm.
collaborated a few times. Um, I've collaborated with Nicole Ruggero. Um
Hmm.
probably know her. We also do Post Vision together.
Hmm.
And it's cool because like everyone has their own workflow, but so with some people you basically, okay, I'll do the texturing, you do the modeling, or like we do this together, and then everyone brings in a bit of their workflow and you learn from it, from each other, which is really cool. And then obviously there is Zaiba, who's a
Hmm.
great curator, and she always comes in with like, oh, okay, can you? I like this video, but can you extend it a bit more? And so even that is like a collaboration, which is fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's so beautiful to see how people are actually collaborating these days online.
Yeah,
And if people want to support your work, how can they do so? So do you normally work on commissions, or
yeah.
how do you make your work available for
Yes,
your
I
for
either work on commission if they need some 3D work or digital artwork or whatever, and sometimes I do physical exhibitions where they can purchase prints or videos. Um, so that's a way where they could contribute.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and do let us know when things like this happen.
Yeah,
I'll be happy to share it with the community and let everyone know.
thank
Um,
you.
I was going to ask you, what's your next project? What do you have coming up?
Um, I had a bunch of physical things that went cancelled.
Mm,
Um, so I now have to reconsider a bit what I want to do, because there was another physical exhibition I wanted to do, but um, I'm in the middle of moving out from UK to Italy, so I think I'll just keep doing some, just digital art. I'm working on a lot of more commercial projects at the moment.
mhm.
So hopefully I'll have some time soon to make something cooler.
I see. And yes, I mean, in a way, it is a challenge to move most projects online.
Mm,
But I suppose with digital art, we do have an advantage,
yeah.
simply because the shift, it could be less traumatic, you know.
Mm,
Um, Domenico is suggesting the white page gallery. Yes, he's been working on this project that allows artists to create their own space within this gallery space that has been collaborating on creating, and I suppose is managing as well. So feel free to send them through. As I said, yes, I was very fascinated about the art that you've presented on the internet, and the colors and
mm,
the shapes that you've created, and the fact that these hybrids and androids in a way
mm,
are in relation to each other, and that makes me reflect on the experience that we're currently having on social distancing, and
mm,
how these in your art was in a way already present.
mm,
And I was wondering, how do we see these virtual world um, in relation to our physical world?
mm.
And that's what really captured my attention towards your work. Um, but yes, in a way, you were already envisioning what we're experiencing in a way. I don't know. That was my feeling. These bodies in a very spiritual presence.
Yeah.
Having their own space.
Yeah, again, like what I said before, is that, the one good thing about this situation is that it is making us all reflecting on the same deep questions. So it's just interesting to see how everyone is coming up with the same topic but differently.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's been fruitful, I think, for people to reflect and make art. So
Hmm.
I'm interested to see more of what people makes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, it's a good way of sharing it and making things available online. Um, your colors, you know, the colors that you use are very vivid. Is there
Mhm.
any um, study behind the colors and how you bring them together?
Not really. I just think that, nowadays we are so bombarded with so many images every day, and my mind is kind of saturated. So I like bold things that make a statement quite immediately.
Hmm.
It's like, when you, if someone is a drug addict and always needs more and more and more to feel that, for me
Hmm.
it's the same with color. So I always need more.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. It's in a way it's a need of making a statement. I
Yeah,
agree, and being bold is it's giving a strong message. So
yeah,
yeah, which is in a way what really captured
yeah,
me
exactly.
in seeing your work. And you know, the models that you're creating, do you get the inspiration or the characters from anywhere,
You mean
or
if I get inspired?
yeah, or do you create them out of your imagination?
No,
Um,
I mostly get inspired by real life people actually. And then I
mhm.
try to make them look like them and then I tweak them a bit. Yeah.
So that they start having their own personalities.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. I see. Yeah, I really enjoy that. And these work, when did you make it? Was it at the beginning of the pandemic? So
Yeah,
the
at the
work that
very,
we're
very
seeing
beginning. Like,
is called
because you're also Italian, so we have been experiencing this from way before.
True.
So I
Yes.
started feeling this burden from when my family started to stay at home. That was like 1 month before here, almost.
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
when I made this piece, I already couldn't take in anymore. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling shit. Bottom line, now I'm kind of start to realize, the positive aspects of this as well, and like feel a bit better, just focusing on creativity and making new things. And that's it. But yeah, when I made this, it was at the beginning. That was starting in UK as well.
Yeah, I remember it was, I think, you know, 3 weeks in, I think looking at this piece, it was the beginning of the struggle of avoiding contact with people,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, this fear of touching each other, you know, and protecting one another because you didn't know even if you were feeling good, if you carried the virus with you or not. So it
yeah,
is in a way the desire of keeping us close to each other, but
yeah,
inevitably you will have to stay safe and keep others safe. So
absolutely.
I found it very sweet, but in a way very dramatic, you know.
Yeah,
So
disturbing.
yeah, yeah, sweet and disturbing at the same time. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yes, I just loved the conversation with you and the fact that, you know, virtual worlds are not so distant from our real worlds, and
Definitely not.
how we're shaping them, and how the virtual worlds are shaping us, you know, and influence us back. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And probably we wouldn't have had this conversation, we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for this pandemic. So,
True, very true. And I am virtually meeting artists and people within the art world every day, and I find it extremely valuable, you know,
yeah,
as a human experience, and learning so much from everyone experiencing similar conditions in different parts of the world, and seeing how everyone is coping in a creative way. It's um, it's challenging, as we said, but you know, I feel we should be strong, and we should keep in contact as much as possible.
definitely. And I
And
think you're already giving a great contribution, just by doing this and sharing other people's artwork and being supportive. Like, that's what we need to do at the moment. That's what everyone should do. Support each other, and yeah, and it will be fine.
yeah, I hope to. I hope it will
Actually,
be
I
fun.
hope that even after this, people will continue to be so supportive.
Yes, I would hope so, and I would hope that we will become better human beings,
Yeah.
you know, that we would acknowledge what is currently happening and still having that human support towards each other,
Absolutely.
and carry that social responsibility. Yeah, we have a couple of comments which I will read. Fantastic initiative. Thank you for featuring talented artists such as Paola. Big up. Yes, yes, you're very talented, and your work is very much appreciated by
Thank
everyone.
you.
Um, is there an intention behind most of what you create, or do you create then figure out a meaning after? That's yeah, that's a question for you, Paula.
I mean, usually bigger, when I do big projects, such a big exhibition or a long animation, then I have the like I know what I want to show from before. But again, I was saying that, you know, the nature of the 3D is so versatile. So if one day I feel that I want to talk about something, I just make it and share it on the day. So it really depends what the inspiration is at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of go with the flow,
Yeah.
depending on what you have in mind or what you're experiencing, and then giving that a shape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Exactly.
And when you work on commissions, do you have do you normally have specific guidelines on what you are asked to create, or do you, as an artist, have um, enough freedom to still be creative and explore within
Yeah,
a commission work?
depends on the project. Some people is happy for me.
Sorry.
Can, some people is happy to give me freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just need specific things. I do both. Depends. I usually take more the project where I have a little bit of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I see. Yeah, yeah, of course. That's a more technical question, I suppose, but it's
Mhm.
interesting to know if sometimes within like projects like marketing projects, for example, you still get to be creative and express
Yeah, I
yourself
mean,
that way.
ideally one day I will only take projects that allow me total freedom, but for now I need to take the boring stuff as well.
But still trying to enjoy it, make
Yeah,
it the best you can.
always. It's the dream job, almost. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been super good talking to you, and thank you for
yes, thank you
sharing
so
all this knowledge and content about how you create art, 3D art, and yes, I'm waiting to see a AR project from you now.
much. Cool, yeah. I'm looking forward to share more. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank
Really
you
appreciate it.
for your art, and it's been so nice to meet you online, and hopefully
Yeah,
see you soon in the out there.
yeah.
you know.
For now, stay
Okay.
safe.
Thank you everyone for joining us and sharing questions and thoughts and showing your presence here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been
Bye.
lovely.
Bye.
Thanks. Stay in touch. Thank you, everyone. Bye
Thanks.
now.